I know. But that's what we have to look forward to.
We'll replay Jordan's tape.
I know, let's see. That thing is still literally up in Alaska, the energy associated with this. Literally up in Alaska. Anyhow, let's talk about what we are going to deal with today. Look, I don't think we're going to see too many problems. This is all pretty light here in the Northeast. We just have a little bit of lift in the atmosphere, giving us the rain and the snow. As you can see, very light snow coming down into Pittsburgh. Visibility's at 7 miles. That's really good for us. And our winds not too shabby here at around 9 miles an hour. So there it is. Temperatures pretty mild. I mean, we're in the 40s. We could have our numbers switched here. We could be in the teens in these spots. And we do have some cooler air coming in, again, the beginning of next week that will be marching across the country. But overall, we're still really mild with our temperatures for us here. So through the day today, could be a little slippery if you're driving home, 80, 70, all of these spots. The Midwest, you are clear. All you're going to need are those sunglasses as you are making your way on this first day of the new year. Cleveland, again, little rain snow mix. Visibility's a little bit lower here at 3 miles with the clouds and the snow and the rain showers that are all coming in together. So what are we going to be dealing with as we go through the day? There's a little bit of that lake effect snow coming down into Indiana, and you can see we also have that energy basically rotating around into portions of the Appalachians. But the Midwest is sunny, the South also really no problems here. It's going to be quite mild, and we'll have all that sunshine for the most part too, which means it's going to be a great day if you've had any of those, New Year's resolutions that you want to start. Maybe it's exercising. This is a great day to kick it off. A few showers into some of the parishes of Louisiana, but not terrible. The West Coast, no problem here. Of course, today we've got the Michigan-Alabama game happening. Is that at the Rose Bowl? Now I'm forgetting. Is that the Rose Bowl game, the Michigan-Alabama game?
Oh, gosh, what is
that? Is that 5 o'clock? So I think it is.
Yes, it is.
Anyone know? We think
How about
it is.
that Georgia game this weekend, by the way?
The what game? That wasn't a game.
Was that really a game?
That wasn't a game.
Like,
Great
that
point.
was.
That's a great point. Number 6 ranked, though,
Go
right?
SEC.
Right.
Anyway.
I'm out of maps, Jim. So dry in the Northeast. We've had a lack of snow here in the Northeast. Look at our streaks that we have. New York City, the last time we had an inch of snow, 684 days. Philadelphia, near 700. Baltimore, we're at, and D.C. above 700 days. So tremendous amount, or I should say lack of snow that we've seen. And we are down in New York by 5 inches, Harrisburg, Pittsburgh. Look at Erie, down 29 inches, Syracuse down 30. It has been so sad when it comes to snowfall here into the Northeast. And as we look at our models for us here, oh, there we go. We're going to pop on a couple inches. This is basically through midweek. That's all we're going to get is kind of a little sprinkle of it. The same as we look at the GFS, both models have really just light snow overall. As we go through the day on Wednesday, that's when we'll see some energy prompt the cloud cover and then the snow to come down through the day. But a lot of it is kind of just really around the lakes, higher elevation as well into the Appalachians. And then Thursday, it's finished from there. So closer look at Cleveland and what the weather's shaping up for us. There's your snow coming over the highways. It's been so warm, though. I don't think the highways are going to be too treacherous. I think that won't be too much of an issue because of the temperatures, but you'll get it accumulating on the grasses, and it's all very light, too, which is the thing. Buffalo, New York, just south of you, the Dunkirk area, we'll get in on that snow. It'll shift around a little bit from Erie all the way up into I-90. Rochester getting in on some of that snow, too. Kids having to go back to school eventually. I know, Jim, what's wild is my friends' kids in Florida, they don't go back till January 9th.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
The 9th.
What, do they get off, later for Christmas? Or
I don't know. No, I mean, I don't think so, but that's absurd. The 9th. They need to be back to be very careful when talking about this and forecasting it. Up next here on the America's Morning, next on this New Year's edition of America's Morning headquarters, we're going to talk more about that lack of more than that.
Sure.
I don't know. We'll ask them. I'll ask them.
Yeah, that's a
lot in the future for them, frankly. One of the reasons we haven't seen a lot of snow are the temperatures. It has been so mild here in the States. Look at this warmth for 2023. We were above average by 2+ inches for majority of the country last year. And look at December's departure from normal, well above average across the entire country. In fact, Minneapolis, Milwaukee, we were both the warmest December on record. The warmest December on record, and top 5 for every city that you see here, from Cleveland to Columbus to St. Louis, all the way into Des Moines as well. The Northeast also, we were tied.
Burlington has never averaged 50 for the year temperature. They did it.
What we're seeing here is that it's not just Burlington, Vermont. It's Syracuse, it's Binghamton. It's all these areas. This is the warmest December, or the second, third, tied, but it's been very, very hot. Now, as we go through time, this is going to come in. This cold air comes in next Monday. We are going to get some cooler air on the backside, but until then, it's pretty average. And then look at our forecast through March. Now, this doesn't mean you're not going to see any snow, but it does usually limit the amount of snow that you see when it is on the warmer side. El Nino, that actually can make things a lot warmer for us here into the northern tier, and the southern tier typically stays a little bit cooler, and this is December, January, February. So is this setting us up for a southern snowstorm? I mean, why not throw it out there just for fun, right? So here's El Nino, and of course what happens is down here off South America, you have things that, the winds shift and things get a lot warmer off the coast, and so that tends to mean that you get more of that subtropical jet here into the south. That means wetter a lot of times for Southern California. We sometimes run into just tremendous rainfall, and then warmer through the northern tier as well for us. So over the next 7 days, we are going to see the potential for heavier rain in the south, and we do have a little bit of that heavier rain into the northwest. Don't forget, just because it's typically heavier in Southern California doesn't mean, Jordan, that you don't get any rain into the northwest. You still got that jet bringing energy in.
Very true. Hey, we've got some big games, and we call...
Well, Happy New Year on behalf of the entire team here at America's Morning Headquarters and the Weather Channel. Our first show of 2024. I'm meteorologist Stephanie Abrams alongside meteorologist Jim Cantori and Jordan Steele. New Year's Day off to a very nice start overall across the country. Yeah, we got a little, bips and bobs here into the Northeast, but otherwise it is loads of sunshine. Jordan, that's going to change, though. We're going to turn into quite an active period here coming up.
Bips and bobs.
Bips frozen, but looks can be deceiving. Meteorologist Mark Elliott has some advice on avoiding the thin ice. So let's have a look at some of our ice thickness here and what you need to do. You want to contact a local bake shop or perhaps a resort that's right next to the lake before heading out there. Check ice thickness at least every 150 feet. It can change dramatically when you're close to, the land, obviously, because usually it's a lot more shallow than when you go a little bit farther out in the lake. So you create a hole. This is something that you should only do if you're a pro at. Don't just go out there, do your little ice core and be like, oh yeah, I'm fine, I can go out on this. Let the professionals do it. But essentially you create a hole with a chisel or cordless drill, put a tape measure in the hole and look at the bottom edge of the ice for an accurate measurement there. Still stresses me out. Even though I've been with professionals out on lakes like this, I still, all the time, it really stresses me out. But 4 inches is when you can do ice fishing, walking, skating. And then we go up from there. Snowmobile needs to be at least 5 inches. A car, you have to have, in a sedan, by the way, 8 inches. And what I will say is this is just for one vehicle. We've seen many, many times when you have multiple vehicles all parked next to each other, and then you go out to do your ice fishing, and that's where everything collapses because it's too much weight for all of those cars. So you have to keep that in mind as well. You're going to need a lot more ice if you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 trucks sitting right here on the ice. So it's something to think about. But our Great Lake ice cover is pretty pitiful. This means that, Jim, these are leaving open the door for
Big lake effect snow.
Big lake effect events.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wrecks, dangerous disasters, and pure adrenaline. Hell Week starts tonight at 8, 7 Central right here on the Weather Channel. All right, Jordan, speaking of life in the fast lane, the West Coast. They're going to be in the fast lane.
Oh, yeah.
On the right-hand side, get over, please.
And especially if there's no...
Problematic, at least weather-wise. Now, did you stay up a little bit too late? That could be a little problematic for you. But did you guys get woken up by the fireworks last night?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
Mm-hmm. I actually slept through them.
You did, but I was able to go back to sleep fairly easily.
Usually you don't go back to sleep if you wake up.
I know, but I was tired.
I'm glad you got back to sleep.
I was good. Today, we are going to see maybe some delays. I don't even think these are going to be actually too terrible because of some rain, a little bit of snow for us here. Pittsburgh, we do have light snow coming down. Visibility is 5 miles, which is pretty good. And really the key is also the winds aren't blowing all this around, only at 6 miles an hour. So that's a positive when it comes to any sort of travel. And I got to tell you, things are so warm here, and they've been so warm our temperatures are essentially, all of us, a lot of us, are at or above freezing. And so the roads, they can handle this snow. It's not like you're going to see big accumulations on the roads and with so many people traveling. Though I will say on my way into work, it was pretty desolate. There were not as many cars on the highway as I do typically see getting into work. But New Year's, big drop there. The ball in Times Square, always a huge event, a fun event. But you do have to wait there all day long until that ball comes down. So that's a lot of waiting, but I think it's worth it. It's just one of those experiences in life that's kind of fun to have. Rain and snow as we go through the day today. How about the Midwest? We're really fine. We are A-OK here. I know that each different, cities, a lot of big cities, even a lot of small towns, have their own type of ball drop, if you will. I'll have to look some of them up to remind myself what they are. Cleveland, a little bit of light snow coming through for us, but again, winds around 9 miles an hour, not terrible. That visibility is at 3, so that's not great, but I don't think we're going to have too many issues here as we go through the morning hours. The rest of the Midwest, you can see a little lake effect sprinkle there coming off the lake as you head into Indiana. But it is a sunglasses kind of day and so mild. It could be a lot colder than this. We could have a minus sign in front of all these temperatures through the day today. In the south, also fairly good. We do have some rain into the parishes of Louisiana, perhaps here along I-10. If you're doing that long drive home, you could see some problems. And the West Coast is looking good. I'm looking forward to the Michigan-Alabama game at the Rose Bowl and, of course, the Rose Parade, Jim, as well.
Yeah, that's always a good time.
James Cinco, who used to work here at the Weather Channel, and so he loves to still send us in video, which we're appreciative of. Say that 3 times fast on New Year's Day. James, Happy New Year to you, and of course, everyone at home that's watching us this morning. I wonder how many there are. Raise your hand. How many people are up at 7 a.m. on New Year's Day? I guess if you have kids, they don't usually pay attention to New Year's Day, right? They're up pretty early. We need snow. It has been so dry in the Northeast. Look at New York, 684 days since we've seen an inch of snow. That's a record. Same in Philly, 700 in Baltimore, D.C. Not a record, but over 7 days since we've seen an inch of snow here. And we are down. Boston over 9 inches. Portland double digits. Burlington the same. The biggest deficits are Syracuse, Buffalo, and Erie, where we're anywhere from 25 to 30 inches below average on snowfall. New York down to Philly, we can make that up real quickly for us. But it's not going to happen through midweek. We'll see a little bit of snow, both models, kind of 1 to 3 inches off the lakes and into the Appalachians. But otherwise, as we go through the day, notice that, yeah, we get snow, but it's not like super heavy. It's not blinding snow. It's not going to, stop you in your tracks. It's more of a nuisance than anything. As kids are still out of school, I know some kids aren't going back until next week, having like 3 weeks off for kids for school here. Cleveland, you're going to get in on some of that 77, 71, 480, 76. We are going to see some light stuff. But Cleveland, I feel like the last several winters have been pretty sad for us in Cleveland. We haven't had big snowstorms coming through. Buffalo towards Dunkirk, Erie, 90. This is a heavily traveled road here. Rochester, that is. We're going to get the clouds. And, of course, that visibility drops when you've got the snow coming in, too. So keep that in mind for you. And real quickly here as we look up towards Maine, we really need it, and we're just not getting it, Jim. So we'll all have our fingers crossed for our system coming next week that only really the GFS wants to explode right now in some of those bigger cities.
Well, not to mention a lot.
It has been hot. Forget about warm. It's been downright hot. Look at our departures from normal, and this is for the entire year. And notice all warmth. I mean, even where it was, quote, cool, it's not like you were below average very much. It was just a little bit below average. And then this story continued into December. Across the board, you're talking 10-plus degrees above average with warmth, especially through the northern tier. So obviously that means you're going to see rain and not snow. In fact, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, we've had the #1 warmest December on record. Everyone else has been in the top 5 here. Just incredible averages for the month. The same into the Northeast. A lot of places, 2nd and 3rd spot for the warmest December on record. And we talked about earlier how it's just caused such a lack of snow. We're 20, 30 inches below average on snowfall. And as we look at the next couple of weeks, we do have actually cooler air coming in. This is kind of coming in Monday. You'll see some cooler air being pulled down in the models, but overall it's pretty mild and it stays that way all the way through March. So doesn't mean you're not going to see any snow, but perhaps we're going to see a little bit less snow. And one of the reasons you can blame this on is El Nino. When you look at El Nino for the winter season, it typically means a cool, warmer northern tier and a cooler southern tier. So the question is this setting us up for low pressure to give us maybe a southern snowstorm? I'm just saying it could happen, all right? If you look at the setup with El Nino, we get a strong subtropical jet, usually bringing a lot of rain into Southern California and then across the south. And we do typically stay warmer, as we saw that through the northern tier for us. And over the next 7 days, we do have that chance of rain here into the south. And we still have it on the west coast. It doesn't mean you get no rain into the northwest, but a lot of times we can run into a lot of issues in Southern California. Snowfall over the next 7 days does show it mainly in the west. And then this is that potential system crawling up the coast. We'll see in time what really happens with this and who gets the most snow, if it stays interior or not. And this is a look at the GFS model, going a little heavier, Jordan, in some of the bigger cities than the Euro is here on the East Coast. It's still a ways away.
Meanwhile, we were just talking about Christmas having the least amount of snow.
Those were lovely. Happy New Year and welcome back to America's Morning headquarters on this first day of 2024. If you want to see some interesting New Year's intentions, go to my social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, because there were some interesting intentions set by the morning team that you can check out. I'm meteorologist Stephanie Abrams alongside meteorologist Jim Cantori, Jordan Steele. New Year's Day off to a very nice start overall across the country. Yeah, a little bit of rain and snow into the northeast, but otherwise smooth sailing here with loads of sunshine. But Jordan, we are getting into a very active pattern.
Yes, we are. We got a very...
I'm glad everyone's okay in that, but we want to remind you that ice on a lake or pond may look frozen, but it can be deceiving. Meteorologist Mark Elliott has some advice on avoiding that thin ice. And unfortunately, our ice thickness is pretty pitiful right now. We'll show you that in just a second. But first, how do you measure the thickness? How I measure it is I go ask someone who is a professional in this area. And you could go to a bait shop, you can go to a lakeside resort and ask about the conditions. Check the ice thickness at least every 150 feet, because the closer to shore, the better chances are that it's nice and thick. But as you go out and everything gets deeper, then it's going to be definitely different. If you want to do it yourself, again, I say leave this up to the professionals, but what they do, maybe I'll explain what they do, is they create a hole, and there's several different ways that you can do that, and then you put in a tape measure, and you hook the bottom edge of the ice for an accurate measurement there to see just how thick it is. How thick do you need it? If you want to go just walking on the ice or skating or fishing, at least 4 inches of ice thickness. Snowmobiling, 5 inches. And then when you want to drive on the ice, which I've done before, and it stresses me out every single time, even though I'm with people that are professionals, I'm still like, are we sure? 8 inches is what you need for a car or sedan, and then you need 12 to 15 if it's a truck. Now, the other thing I want you to keep in mind, because I've seen video of this happen, if you have 2 trucks, 3, 4, 5, sometimes a lot of people park their trucks and everyone goes out to go ice fishing, and then the weight of all of those combined actually breaks the ice and everything sinks in. So you want to be sure that if you have more than 1 truck out there or car, that it's extra thick, because you will need that. Look at the Great Lakes right now. The ice cover is absolutely pitiful, only in some of the shallow areas, especially into those bays, and our current ice cover is running well below average. It usually peaks out more into February, early March, so we have a ways to go, but we have a lot of work to be done. Dangerous disasters and pure adrenaline. Hell Week starts tonight at 8/7 Central right here on the Weather Channel. And I'll tell you what, the West Coast is going to be in the fast lane, Jordan, because we've got storm after storm after storm.
Ain't that the truth?
Back, even though it might be over the next couple of days, since it seems kids don't go back to school until next week for a lot of places. So you have all week to still entertain everybody. Or, you know what, maybe your resolution, your intention for the year, not entertain. Let the kids figure it out themselves. That's what I had to do when I was a kid. There was no parental entertainment going on. You had to figure it out yourself. And I know maybe this is like a big girl thing to do, but we would rearrange the furniture in our rooms, and like in our friend's room, that was the thing we did to entertain ourselves. So that's something you could do here in the Northeast as a kid if you want to kind of mix it up. You feel like you have a whole new room after you do that. Pittsburgh, a little bit of snow, maybe get out and play in it. It's not too cold at 32 degrees for us with a little bit of light snow coming through. It's rain in New York with our temperatures at 39, and it's really mild on this New Year's Day across the entire Northeast. 70, 76, 80, even 90 is going to be a little bit slippery out there. I don't think we're going to have too many issues with snow accumulating on the roads, but on the grass perhaps it's going to accumulate. And last hour I was talking about all the different things that different cities drop, and apparently in Indianapolis they drop a car, a whole car that would be racing on race day. I don't know if it's the actual size of one. Huh? It wasn't a Formula One. I said it. I have to look in detail. That's why I couldn't remember off the top of my head. So I was trying to. An Indy car.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, an Indy car. Okay. Nice.
They claim to drop there. So anyways, there's all different things. In Maine, there was like a beach ball with Christmas lights. All sorts of creative things that happen across the country. A little bit of snow still lingering here into Cleveland, and some rain mixed into that. We do have some gusty conditions, though, 20, 30 mile an hour gusts with our visibility at 3 miles. So that's not ideal, but thankfully, no delays. Excuse me.
There we go. The first one of 2024.
24
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
That's
You should keep track.
Okay, there's
that is
one.
as consistent
We
as
should
the ball.
keep down.
One is down. All right. Columbus, Ohio, even a little lake effect snow coming down into Indiana. Chicago, they should drop a Chicago-style pizza. Maybe they do in a town there in Chicago. I don't know. But that would be fun to do. Through the day, it's a lot of sunshine for us. And we do have a lot of sunshine here into the south as well. A little bit of rain into some of the parishes there of Louisiana. But showers just streaming across, mainly cloud cover. Overall, Jim, though, it's going to be a pretty quiet day here in the south for traveling, and the same in the west.
You know I'm not a deep dish guy, right?
Deep dish, though.
I just don't like it.
How about Detroit? Smells more like bready.
So no.
No? Oh, well, you have gut issues, so maybe
I
that's
got issues.
warm, though,
I
you
know. I know.
No.
Oof, it's been just so warm there. All right, it's also been warm in the Northeast, and that means that we have had record least amount of snow. So here's a look at the streaks that we've had. New York has gone 684 days without an inch of snow. You've had a little less than that at times, but an inch or more. Philadelphia, we're near 700. Baltimore, record-setting 700 days. And we have to go back to January 16th of 2022 to get an inch of snow in D.C. That is 712 days. So the big question is, are we going to see snow as we head into the weekend? Jim's going to get to that in a minute. But look at the numbers here. Boston down 9.6. Portland double digits. Albany, Burlington double digits. The big losers or big winners, however you want to look at it, Syracuse, Buffalo, and Erie, all sitting anywhere from around 25 to 30 inches below average. Pittsburgh, Scranton, we're in the 8-inch below average. And as we look at both models, the Euro and the GFS, through basically midweek, we're not going to make much of a dent on our snow deficits there. It's really just some light stuff, a little pop of energy coming through. There's not a lot of hope that that's going to do much of anything for us. But there will be a bigger weekend storm. But the question is, does it pull offshore before it really gives us any help here into the Northeast? Cleveland, you know, we'll have some light stuff. But again, Jim, it's just been so warm. I don't think the roads will be a problem. They'll just be wet, really, from this.
Yeah, it's not going to get.
I think it was just before this, so they have been super
right.
active there. Next on this New Year's edition of America's Morning Headquarters, 1 month here. Pretty pitiful. And it's not just Minneapolis. If we look at the heat, this is 2023. Even where it was cold, you can see we weren't that much below average. I mean, very few places we were basically at average or just slightly below. Mainly it's been heat for us here. And notice all of December, this is what we saw. Heat, and more heat. We were 10 plus above average throughout the northern tier in several places. So it's just been really bad. Not only Minneapolis, Milwaukee, the warmest December on record. Chicago, the 5th warmest. Same in St. Louis. This was the top 5 warmest December for every city that you see on this map, and some in between that too. In the Northeast, it was the warmest December. We're talking 2nd or 3rd place for numerous spots here on the board for us, and some spots that aren't even on here were the warmest on record. So it's just been hot. That's been the theme, and sadly, it stays that way. We do have some cooler air coming in. This is really like Monday, so as we head into next week, we do get some colder air that comes in behind a big system. But through March, I mean, the forecast is showing us to be very warm through the northern tier. So why may that be? Well, might have a little something to do with El Nino. And when you have an El Nino, you do typically have warmer temperatures in the northern tier and cooler in the southern tier, maybe setting up for some southern snow. Can't rule it out right now, but that's something that we look at. You have that subtropical jet usually causes tremendous rainfall into Southern California. We've seen this before where it's just poured out and we see all sorts of flooding and whatnot. And then that, of course, brings it all the way across the south. Doesn't mean you don't get systems here throughout the northern tier, but as you see, it typically does mean it's warmer. Our rain over the next 7 days does show it. We still need it here into New Orleans along that I-10 corridor. We will definitely take it. And we do have some heavier showers as we stay very active, especially into the northwest in the coming days. That's something we'll continue to follow. That will also crank out the snow. And then, of course, the big question here is, what will this do? The Euro has it a lot less. The GFS wants to take that heavy snow all the way into Connecticut. Jordan?
Woo! All right. So
it's the most unique one, Jim. I don't know, between you and Postel.
It started off with very good intentions.
You and then, what was it, Postel asked for more ghosts
Postel,
in his New Year? Anyhow, if you want to see all of them, head to my social media. You can see everyone's New Year hope or resolution.
Thank you, Abrams, for telling me.
Yeah, add that. All right, Happy New Year. Welcome back into America's Morning Headquarters on this first show of 2024. I'm meteorologist Stephanie Abrams alongside meteorologist Jim Cantor and Jordan Steele. New Year's Day is actually off to a nice start overall across the country. There isn't a lot to deal with here with the exception of the Northeast and maybe a few showers here from Texas on into Louisiana. I think the biggest deal actually this morning, Jordan, is how foggy it is in so many places.
A lot of places have got dense fog advisories.
Yeah, that ice on a lake or a pond may look frozen, but it can be deceiving. Meteorologist Mark Elliott has some advice on avoiding thin ice. So we want to have a look at how you measure ice thickness. How I measure it is I ask someone that's professional doing it. I don't trust myself. I want someone that has been doing it for many years and really can grasp the ice and how it works. So you can go to your local bait shop or lakeside resort, ask them about the conditions, and you want to make sure that you check the ice thickness every 150 feet. I don't know. I check it every foot. I'd be like, are you okay over there? Can I step? Slowly, right? Always stresses me out. What you do is you create a hole in the ice. There's various ways you can do that. And then you put a measuring tape in the hole and hook it on the bottom edge of the ice for an accurate measurement. And you might be surprised how much ice you really need. You need 4 inches of ice to skate, walk, or go ice fishing. How about if you want a snowmobile? You need at least 5 inches. I was surprised that it's only an inch difference between those two because I feel like these snowmobiles are pretty heavy, but again, what do I know? 8 inches for a car. Again, I feel like I need like 45 inches for a car, but this is just my paranoia on these, going out on the ice. But a truck, a medium truck, 12 to 15 inches. And remember, it's just for one car. We have seen 3, 4, 5 cars or more, and they're all parked next to each other, and the ice has literally collapsed, and all the vehicles go in the water. It's pretty brutal. Right now, our lake effect is really low, 0.16%. That's well below average, and that means we could see more lake effect snow. Pure adrenaline in all capital letters. Hell Week starts tonight at 8/7 Central right here on the Weather Channel. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be pure adrenaline in the west as we get storm after storm after storm coming on through, Jordan.
I can't wait, though. I mean,